Hello everybody and welcome back. I am really excited to be sharing my first video from my new craft room. Very excited about that. I have a couple of drawers that I need to organise still with my fabrics, but other than that I am pretty much there, so there will be a craft room tour coming soon. This video, however, is the first October challenge. These challenges and freebies will run alongside the collaboration kit that I've put together called The Forager. I'm collaborating with Jade E Susan. There are freebies from both me and Jade, and the challenge this week is to make an accordion holder for some index cards or index style cards. So I'm going to share with you my freebies. So we have these different kind of parts. We've got some tabs, we've got some labels, we've got some other sort of fussy cuts, and then I've got a few definitions there that I thought went well with the kit. So we've got nature, mushroom, herb and forage. So that's the first page. Because of the type of accordion, I've just done some kind of grungier pages, but they are colours that kind of go with the kit. So I've got this one, which is kind of like a mossy green. I have printed on the back only because I am going to be using these. This is a page from the actual main kit. This is the next page then. So this has again some different florals, but also some leaves on there, and again I have printed on the other side. We've then got this gorgeous sort of plum colour which goes with the berries that you might forage. But again, nice and grungy. And again, I've printed on the back. And then for the index style cards, we have these. So there's 4 cards on this page, and then I've got 4 on the following page. So they're all the freebies that you can get from me. You'll be able to find my freebies in the Facebook group. They're also on my Ko-fi page. I will have all links down below, as well as Jade's links, so you can go and find her freebies and kit as well. So let's get on with the challenge. So what I'm going to do, now you can do this a couple of ways. I'm going to do it using the papers, but you can of course use envelopes and then just decorate the envelopes if you want to. But I'm going to show you how to do it using the papers. So I'm just going to grab my 3 backing papers, and I'm just going to put those to one side for a second because I need to cut these out, and then these will help inform me how big I then need my pockets that I'm going to make. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer, which is now very handily right next to me in a drawer. Let's perhaps put it the right way up. So I'm just going to trim these. Now I don't know if they're exactly the same on each page, so I'm going to do them one page at a time. And I'm just going to very quickly cut these out. Yeah, thank you so much to those that have already been purchasing the kit. I will be making a journal, and this is actually going to go in the journal. The nice thing about this challenge is it's something that could be a standalone project, or it can be a series of pockets that you put within a journal. I'm actually going to have this, as I say, within mine. I just haven't got round to actually starting mine yet because I have been busy trying to just get my craft room in some kind of order so that I can get back to business, because yeah, I've definitely missed crafting, and I've been so jealous having a look in the Facebook group, seeing what everybody else is up to, and not being able to craft myself. So I'm glad to be back at it. Right, okay, so that's those all cut out, and I've made sure that they are all approximately the correct size, so they're all about the same. What I'm going to do now is I've got these, they're kind of like a greenish bluish colour. I'm going to use these to back them, just to make them, one, a little bit stiffer, but then obviously you've got some writing space on the back. So as you can see, obviously the index cards are slightly bigger. That's absolutely fine, not a problem. So I am going to glue all of those on. Sometimes I like to do some sewing. I'm not actually going to do any sewing on this particular project, because I know lots of you don't necessarily have a sewing machine, so I'm going to show you how to do it without. so I am just going to glue these down. So I'm just going to use a Yoo-hoo stick for this. I'm just going to see if I can find a scrap piece of paper just to put down. Okay, this is obviously from a past project, so I'm just going to use this as a kind of glue page, just so I'm not getting my mat all completely mucky. It goes like that way up. So I'm just going to line it up with the top and down the edge, and then just smooth that out. And I'm going to ink around the edge once I obviously trim all of these, but it just seems a bit silly kind of inking and then having to ink again in a moment. So I'll ink the edges in a moment. So I'm just going to do the same for each of the cards, have them all backed on here. Okay, so that's all of those stuck down. Now obviously I've got 8 cards here. I'm not going to use all 8 cards in my project, only because I think it's going to end up too bulky, because I am putting this in a journal. If you're doing a standalone project, then that's absolutely fine. You can use all 8 of them, but yeah, as it is going in a journal, it's going to be far too bulky. So I'm just going to give these a little trim. I'm just going to pick the ones that I actually want to use. I do really like that girl image. I might use her. I'm sure there was another one that looked like a notepad. There we go. Yeah, so I've got 2 note pages and then her. I think I'll use those, or I've got this one. I'll use that one. I'll save the girl for something else, I think. Okay, so these are the 3 that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to give these a little bit of a trim down. So I'm just using my small trimmer for this. I've noticed with the other trimmer, I know you can't see it on camera, but I do get a slightly sort of frayed edge. It's not a proper straight edge. And I think it's because the grey bit that's in the track, if I bring this back in, so this bit here where the blade kind of leans again to cut, that is quite worn. I have ordered some replacements, so I'm just waiting for them to arrive, and then that should give me a better cut. Okay, so I'm just going to trim these down. Right, to give you an idea of size, now that these have all been trimmed down, they are about 3.5 inches tall, and they are around 5 inches now wide. Now, as I said, you can use envelopes for this. I'm going to make pockets out of the papers that are from the freebies. So I'm just going to bring these back in. Now, I think originally what I'm going to do is just cut them directly in half, and then from there we'll make the pocket. So I'm just going to fold them in half. And this is also how I know that this would be perfect for a journal, because when I make my journals, it's just a page folded in half. And you can see that this is easily going to fit within the page, even with the pockets that we're going to make. So let's do this one. What do we want on the outside? The purple, isn't it? So I think I've probably folded that one the wrong way, haven't I? Yeah, I want it that way. Okay, so that's those 3. So I'm just going to cut them down the centre. And while this does not give me the cleanest edge, this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to try and do all 3 at once, just because it might be easier. Right, so I'm going to slot that under. Find the middle, and cut straight down. Okay, yeah, so that is in half. Brilliant. I'm now going to bring in my scoreboard. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do, because obviously now we've got potential for a lot of pockets, because one of these will make 1 pocket. So I'm going to have a little look and decide which ones I want to use. So I definitely like the green. I might use one of each actually. Yeah, I think I might use one of each. Quite like this with the writing because obviously it's going to get folded, so this is the bit that you're going to see. So I think I'll have the bit with the writing and the others I'll put to one side. So these are going to be my pockets. Now these are far too big already, so we are going to have to do some trimming. Now what did I say these were? 3.5, wasn't it? So I obviously then need this 7 inches, don't I, to make it fold in half to be a pocket. So I need to trim these all down to 7 inches long, or if it was this way, 7 inches tall. So I'm just going to bring this back in for a moment. And line this up with my 7 inches. And then just trim off that bottom part because that's the bit we don't need. So I'll put those to one side because you never know, they might come in handy. Right, so from there, these are now a good size to just fold in half. So we're going to do that, 3.5, score, and of course you don't need a scoring board, you can just fold them in half. But I will need my scoring board in a moment anyway for the next part. I'm just going to do that for each of them. I think using a scoreboard I like just because it helps already starting to bend and flex those fibres in the paper, just to make it easier when folding. Okay, now again this would be the whole width of your journal page if you're printing on a full page, so obviously we don't want the pocket that big and our card doesn't need to be that big. So I'm just going to pop this up here and sort of see what we need to come in. So it's almost at 6, it's not quite, is it? It's the one before the 6, and as I said, these cards are about 5 wide, so ideally we want to come in, let me just work it out, the line in between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch. Yeah, so what would that be? 3/8, so 3/8 of an inch. You want to be able to come in on either side, and then we're going to fold those bits in. So I'm just going to open it up again and do that. And just for ease, I'm going to spin it round and do the same on the other side. Okay, so we've got those folds. I'm just going to fold them over just because it then makes it easier to see. Okay, so that's what we've got folded in, and then I'm just going to check that my card still slots in. It does, so we know that we've got enough space there. Now obviously I don't need both of these flaps. I mean, you could stick them together if you wanted to, but I'm actually going to get rid of one of them. So I'm just going to grab my scissors. And then I appreciate it's really hard to see because obviously this is a patterned paper, but I'm just going to snip in at an angle, and then I'm going to cut up this fold here. As I say, I do appreciate this is hard to see on patterned paper, but once I've cut it, hopefully it will make sense. Okay, so I've cut up the fold and then I've gone up at a slight angle, and then this flap is what's going to get stuck to form the pocket. Okay, so I'm going to do the same on the other side. So cutting at an angle and then cutting up the fold. And again, just checking as I bring that in that that all lines up, which it does. Okay, so that will be my pocket. So as you can see, I've got two flaps, that bit's been cut out and it goes up at an angle. I'm going to do that same thing for these two pockets. Okay, so we've got our pockets and we've got our cards. Let's get rid of that rubbish. So now we just want to first of all glue these together. I think I might just cut this top bit at a slight angle as well. I'll quickly do that on all of them. There we go. And then we need some glue. So I'm just going to tip mine upside down for a minute just so that can start working its way down while I sort these out. So I'm just going to give these a bit of an extra burnish. Let's bring in my bone folder just to help me. Just to really make sure that they are all creased. And while you're not really going to see too much on the inside, I did want to do these double-sided just in case, you know, they are opening up and you are seeing a bit more inside. But these accordion wallets are just so easy to put together. Right, so before I start gluing, I might ink, but actually it might be easier to ink once they're all glued. Yeah, I think it might be actually. Yeah, so I think I'm going to glue them first actually, and then I'll ink around. That's better. There we go. So I'm just going to dangle that upside down just so that all the glue comes to the top. Right, so I'm just going to fold that down over those. And then that's one done, ready for the next. So just keep gluing the flaps down. Put it to the side to dry. And the last pocket. There we go. Right, so now to decide what order. I think I'm going to have this one on the front just because I like the leafy image. Then I'm going to have the purple, then I'm going to have green at the back. Like I say, it's a little bit of a shame because you don't get to see all of the images, but that's fine, not a problem. Or do I want that one in the middle? And green at the front. No, I'll have it how I had it. Like, that's fine. Right, okay. So, to glue these together, again, super easy. You're going to make a T shape. So I'm just going to, this is my front pocket. Got my opening at the top. Oh, actually, I want to ink, don't I, before I do any gluing. Well remembered. So I'm just going to use vintage photo. Obviously, inking is optional. You do not have to ink at all. I do like inking my projects, but it is totally optional. I am possibly going to create a notch at the top, so I may have to re-ink in a moment. I'm not going to worry too much about the back because you're not really going to see that, right? So that's going to get stuck like that, so I'll keep that one there ready. And obviously with the purple you're not going to see too much vintage photo, but it just makes the edges slightly darker. when you give it a bit of an ink. Okay, so then we've got that one, and then this one's going to be at the back. Right, there we go. That bit done. Okay, so where was I? Right, so we're going to glue these together. So this is my front one. I'm going to flip it upside down, bring it down here. I'm then going to create a T. So I'm going to have a line all the way along the bottom and then up the middle. Okay, so just creating a T shape. Then going to bring this one down on top. Obviously make sure that you are lining it up. And then you do the same. Now, as I said, you can create more pockets than this. I'm only doing 3 just because this is going in a journal. But if you were doing a standalone project, you could just keep going, keep stacking up the pockets. Obviously those 3 sheets of paper you could make 6 pockets with, because we've used half of them, haven't we, with these ones. But they are your pockets, so that when you pull them open, whoops, actually let that glue dry before I start yanking on stuff, but it will just make it like an accordion, yeah, so they can pull open. So just having that glue down the middle allows these bits to flex so that you can really open them up and get into them, because sometimes if you kind of layer pockets, it gets very tricky to kind of get into each one. So this is a nice way to kind of make it a bit more expandable. So there are 3 pockets, which then leaves us with our journaling card. So I'm just going to pop that to the side for a second, and we're going to come back to these. Now I think I might round the corners, so I'm going to bring in my corner rounder. Did I want to round these? No, I'm not going to round those. I'm just going to round these, and I'm just going to do the small one, I think. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do the small one. I don't want anything too rounded. So I like this because it has the 3 different sizes. But this is a very fussy corner rounder. It only likes it if it is a cardstock. It doesn't like punching paper. But obviously where I've got the index card on the back, that's helping this punch quite nicely. Okay, so that's those punched. I do want to give them a little ink as well. This feels really weird actually, because this is the first time that I'm actually crafting sitting down. I've got a sitting desk. Normally in my old craft room I had a standing up desk. So yeah, it's quite strange actually, sitting and crafting. I'm not used to that. Normally I'm standing. Don't get me wrong, I'm sitting practically on the edge of my seat. I haven't quite learnt to just relax in my chair yet, but I'm sure that will come. Right, so now that we've got those, I think I'm going to decide to the order. So we've got our mushrooms, we've got a plain one, and then we've got a collage one. So obviously I need that kind of in between, don't I? And with some of the fussy cuts, I've got some tabs. So let's have a look at what we've got, because we've got some nice berries. Quite like the berries. Then what else have we got? So that looks quite similar to this, so I don't want the same thing. This is the same pattern as what's inside, so this one might be quite good actually for that one. And then the last one, Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that one. Yeah, and then I can save those for something else. That's fine. Brilliant. So I'm going to stagger them. So I'm going to have one tab on this side, the next one's going to be in the middle, and then the other one's going to be obviously on the other side. So I'm just going to give, oh, hang on, I've got two in there. I thought it felt a bit thick. I'm just going to give this a little bit of an ink around. And then that's going to go, as I said, on the end there. So I'm just going to open it up and grab my glue. Now I always like to do one side first, just so I can get it into place. So about there, and I can flip it over and glue the other side. That's it. Like that. Just going to pop that on and stand it upside down while we ink this one. I've wanted to do a forager kit actually for a little while, so I'm quite excited by this one, and I really can't wait to get started on my actual journal. Right, this one's going to go in the middle. Now, I think I am actually going to be a little bit anal and make sure that I am going for the middle. So let's have a look. I've got my ruler somewhere. Okay, so this ruler tells me the middle. So let's have a look. Right, so about there's the middle. So let's grab a pencil. Okay, so about there's where I want my tab. So again, I'm going to do the front first, and then we can figure out where the next one's going. So that's the middle, and then we can glue the back. There we go. Oops. And let's pop that back on. Give this one an ink. Okay, then this one's going to go on this side. Now I want this one to obviously be in line with this one, so I'm going to use this as a guide. So let's put some glue on the front. So that's going to go about there. Let's just make sure that it's in line. That's it. And then we can glue the back. Yeah, so like I said, being a little bit anal with that one, trying to make sure that they're all in the right spot. You don't have to be quite as ridiculous as me. Right, so those are my 3 cards then, so they should hopefully, yeah, have our 3 tabs. Brilliant. Right, I also have the teeny tiny little labels, which I have cut out. So I've got different specimens, which I think I might use for this actually. I mean, I went up to 4 because I was thinking ideally of doing 4 cards, but I went with 3 in the end, didn't I? But I was going to go with 4. But I've got specimen or I've got sample. I think I'm going to go with specimen. And I'm just going to put specimen 1 on there. like that. Oops, again, try and get it roughly in the middle. That'll do. Specimen 1. Number 2. And number 3. Awesome. Right, okay, so that's those 3. Then what else have I got? I've got these, haven't I? So obviously the journaling space is on the back, so I've got a lot of space here, I've got a lot of space next to the mushrooms, and obviously this is a collage. So mushroom obviously can go with mushroom, so I think I might stick that one on there. I mean, I've got a little bit of kind of an inky bit there, so I'm thinking of having it up the top. Then what have we got? Herb, maybe, since we've got some greenery there. And then I've got either nature or forage. I think I might go with forage. And I might thin this down a little bit. So I've got these scissors that make the deckled edge. They're not the best scissors. They were cheap scissors. So they don't always cut brilliantly. You kind of have to be extremely slow with them. And again, they don't like paper. It needs to be something slightly thicker. And I've printed on 160 GSM. So it is a little bit thicker. And I think I might just trim this one down as well. Like that. And then nature I can use in my journal somewhere else. Right, I'm going to give these a tinsy little link around the edge and get those stuck on. And mushroom. I do really love mushrooms and toadstools, which I think is the main reason why I wanted to do a foraging journal. Right. Yeah, okay, let's do these first and then I can play around with other things. So these are going to get stuck down. So what did I say? I wanted herb over here. Yeah, let's put herb over there. About there. Then we've got mushroom. Again, just want to cover up a little bit. Oops, where I've obviously got everything all linky. And forage. Coming to the end of this glue, right, and I think I might have that one down in this corner. Excellent. Right. Brill, so that's those. Now, I was thinking about whether I wanted notches. Do I want a notch? I think I do. Let's get a circle punch. So I don't want it anything too drastic, so I think I'm just going to do an inch. I'm just going to pop that in, and then I can kind of gauge, can't I, where I want the notch. Well, that's a little bit of a tight squeeze. I might need to trim that card down. Let's check the others. Oops, picking up far too many. Yeah, I think I might need to trim them down, you know. See, I measured and everything and it didn't work. I need to stick to just not measuring. Right, let's give them a little trim. Just going to take a smidge off. So I'll do that on this side. doesn't have to be a lot, just a teeny smidge. And then I want to round those corners again. Give them a bit of an ink. Let's see how that fits. Just needed to be a tiny bit. That's better. That's better. Right. I'll take a smidge off of this side because it's still just a tiny, 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 tiny bit. So this is why I don't measure, because even when I measure it doesn't work. That's it. There we go. She says. Right, so that's one. Okay. Still going to do a tiny bit more. That's better. I don't think I'd cut it quite straight enough the last time, which is why it was still getting a little bit stuck down the bottom. Right, there we go. So there's that one. Let's just trim these other ones so that we're not having the same problem. Okay, so just a smidge. Doesn't have to be a lot. And you'll notice I'm not measuring anymore because clearly that doesn't work. I just need to make sure that it slots in the pocket. Oh, back one. Yeah, that's going in and out. Excellent. This one, let's see, I need it to be in the middle, so I'm just going to cut a smidge off each side. And then hopefully it's still roughly in the middle. Again, not going to measure, because measuring did not help me the first time. Normally I just kind of fold and cut and see where I get to. And I think I'm going to stick to that method. Right, okay, so where was I? Notches. So you're going to go here, which means we need a little notch. Lost my pencil. There it is. Little notch. Oops. Roughly where those pencil marks are. So let's see. I have to do this backwards, aren't I? How annoying. Let's see if I can go this way, because I only need a little one, don't I? Right, where's that notch? Where's that pencil mark? Yep. You don't have to do a notch, like I said, I'm probably just being super awkward. But I'm just going to do a teeny tiny one. Yep, so nothing huge. I'm then going to want the same thing on the other side. At the back, however, it needs to go here. So again, I'm going to just slot in a little bit, just down. Oops. Needs to be just enough. And then the middle. Sorry, I realise I'm making this super awkward now and you can't really see what I'm doing. Right. Just going to grab my dabber because obviously where I've now cut those out. We want some ink. And at the back. Yeah, so they're not massive notches, they're not really deep, but hopefully deep enough that we can kind of see what we're up to. So that one goes in the front. Excellent. And then we've got a little bit of what we're looking at. That one goes in the middle. Oh, and that notch is also in a perfect place. See, you don't measure and it all works out. Brilliant. Okay, really happy with those. So this for me is going to get stuck into my journal. So I'm just going to stick it straight down onto the page, and then now I have different pockets with my journaling cards in. As I said, this could be a standalone pocket, and then you can obviously add more to it, but I am going to have this in my journal. So if you imagine these, we obviously haven't trimmed down at all. So this would be, if you folded your page in half, the size of your page. So you can see that you've got plenty of side on both things. So it's not too wide that it's not going to fit on the page. That should fit quite nicely. And then, yeah, once you've stuck the back down to the page, you can kind of put it open. And because it's nice and expandable, you can even put other things in there as well, which I really like. Okay, well, there's my first week challenge. So it's an expandable pocket with some journaling cards. I really hope that you join in with this challenge. I hope that you love the freebies. As I said, they are available either in my Facebook group, Nonstop Papercrafts, or they will be available on my Ko-fi page. Jade's will also be available in my Facebook group or on her Ko-fi page. So all the links will be down below. There will be a hashtag as well, so make sure that when you are posting, you are using the hashtag #TheForagerCollab. So when you're posting in the group, use hashtag #TheForagerCollab, and then at the end of the month, you will be put into a prize drawing. Now, if you just use the freebies and you post in the group, for every post that you make, you get 1 entry. If you use the freebies and the paid kits or just the paid kits, then you get 2 entries for every post that you make in the Facebook group. But please make sure that you are using that hashtag, just because it makes it so much easier at the end of the month for me to be able to search the hashtag and gather people's names that way. I do often try to scroll through the month as well to make sure that I have included everyone, but it is just easier with the hashtag. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next crafty video. Bye for now.